Welcome to the 90s, everybody. This is Time About the Movies, and yes, we have entered the 1990s. This is January 12th, 1990, and I was about a year and 2 days old when this day came. And we had 4 movies come out. None of them were really memorable, but that's January for you. Let's go ahead with the top grossing film of the weekend. We'll start that off with that, but like I always say, just because it's a top grossing film doesn't mean it's a hit, but it's Richard Gere and Andy Garcia in Internal Affairs. Perhaps I spoke too soon. Internal Affairs is actually a pretty good movie. I'm really not gonna lie. I was actually kind of surprised. Like I said before, January is not usually the best month, but every once in a while, a movie comes along in January that's actually not as bad as people think it is, or even actually is good. And this is one of those prime examples of a rare good movie in January. This is actually a pretty decent movie. I was actually kind of surprised when I saw this movie. But, no, it's actually pretty good. I do like this movie a lot. I like Richard Gere and Andy Garcia in this movie. I think they're giving a good performances. I like the dark tone this movie has. This is directed by Mike Figgis, who would later go on to direct Leaving Las Vegas, which is another fantastic movie of his. And, yeah, it's a pretty good movie. It's a movie that it's a thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat. It makes you want to see what's going on. It makes you want to see what the big twist is going to be at the end. It makes you invested in what's going on. And it's just a pretty good movie. It's a rare feat for January in particular, but it's a pretty good movie. And overall, it's actually a good movie to start the year for Richard Gere, who would have a pretty good 1990, as we'll see later on down the road. But yeah, Internal Affairs is actually pretty good. I would say definitely check it out. I was actually pleasantly surprised by this one, honestly. It's a good action. It's a good thriller, directed very well by Figgis. Features great performances by Gere and Garcia. Yeah, I'd recommend this movie, Internal Affairs. Definitely check it out. So let's go ahead and move on to the next movie, and that is Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. You thought I was kidding when I said they tried to make Leatherface the next Freddy Krueger. Well, that's pretty much what they did here. New Line Cinema, who had put out the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, actually bought the rights to the series from the Cannon Group after they shut down. This movie actually got an X rating when they sent it to the Motion Picture Association of America, and they actually had to make cuts to it and had to push the film back because it was supposed to come out in November of '89, and then got pushed back to January. And so here it is now in January, re-rated R, and it claims to be the most controversial horror film ever, which, I don't know. I thought I Spit on Your Grave was considered the most controversial horror film at the time, but what do I know? But what I do know is this movie is pretty bad. It's not a very good movie. It's another bad Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel, quite honestly. I mean, it just really is. It's like it doesn't really have a lot there that the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre had. Even the remake for Texas Chainsaw Massacre was much better than this movie is. I mean, it like I said, it just felt like they were trying way too hard to make this the next Nightmare on Elm Street type of franchise, and they just couldn't, and it just failed on arrival. It was dead on arrival with them, and it really shut the series down for a good chunk until they actually made another sequel 5 years later. That one which had Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey in it, which was Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. But yeah, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 is just another sequel that is mostly just forgotten in time, and for pretty good reason, because it's not very good. So, anyway, on to the next movie, which is Ski Patrol. When it says from the makers of Police Academy, it only means that the producer of this movie, is the person behind Police Academy, and that's Paul Maslansky. And doesn't help the fact that the movie looks completely terrible. I mean, it looks absolutely horrendous. I mean, I can't believe how bad this looks. I mean, you've got, I guess for the sake of the notoriety of this movie, you've got some notable names in it, like Paul Feig, who would later go on to direct such movies as Bridesmaids, Ghostbusters, A Simple Affair. Leslie Jordan is in this movie. George Lopez is here. Ray Walston, Martin Mull. That's it. Comedy looks terrible. The jokes don't even look like they're even trying They're just trying to stick anything to the wall and see if it's funny. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not going to walk away this time. That's all I'm going to say about this movie. And I dare somebody to try to tell me that Ski Patrol is actually a decent movie. I dare anybody to say that. But let's just move on to the last film. Let's move on to a hopefully better movie. Anthony Edwards and Forest Whitaker in Downtown. Well, they could at least call this movie what it really is. Anthony Edwards and Forest Whitaker getting the shit smacked out of each other while the other drives a car. I mean, Jesus, how many shots of this movie were there where it was either Anthony Edwards or Forest Whitaker with their legs outside of the car as the car is going completely out of control and just hitting walls and all that? I mean, I counted at least 3 different times in this trailer that happened. But, yeah. Downtown, this is directed by Richard Benjamin. Richard Benjamin, of course, is a relatively well-known comedian. He also did stuff like City Heat. He made The Money Pit, which is a good movie. Little Nikita, My Stepmother is an Alien, Mermaids, Made in America, Milk Money, Mrs. Winterbourne. And he also gave us The Majesty of Marcy X, which we'll get to that sometime down the road. But as you can see, we have Downtown, which is basically just, it's Lethal Weapon again. It's Lethal Weapon, except Anthony Edwards isn't as crazy as Mel Gibson, and Forest Whitaker is not as old as Danny Glover. That's pretty much just all the movie is. And this movie's got a pretty impressive cast in it, too. Besides them, you got Penelope Ann Miller, Joe Pantoliano. You've got music by Alan Silvestri of the Back to the Future franchise. They could have made, with that cast and crew there, they could have made something really special or funny, but it is what you think it is. It's a generic buddy cop movie. 2 guys that hate each other, and then by the end of the movie, they become best friends. That kind of thing. And, yeah, that trailer doesn't really do anything to make me impressed about this movie. It's just kind of, I know what it's going to be like. But, I guess the only thing that was surprising was how much that Anthony Edwards and Forest Whitaker got the shit smacked out of them with the cars. Good lord. But other than that, though, that's pretty much all I have to say about this movie. It's just kind of there. It's a movie that you probably would expect for the month of January. So, there you go. That's Downtown. At least I got something out of it more than Ski Patrol did. So, with that said, that's going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next week, we look at the weekend of January 19th, where we actually have a great cult classic to start the weekend off with, Tremors. We also have Everybody Wins, Streets, and Sweetie. So, we're in a brand new year, and we're going to keep pushing forward. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist for 1990 on the next page. And I'm going to put the playlist for 1989 if you want to see any of those episodes as well. And I will see you guys for the next episode tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching, and until the next time I see you, take care.